Goalkeepers never strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake.
Hello there and welcome to the channel. Today we have lots and lots to talk about. Today this is Talk Football Live and we have lots to talk about, from a friendly game that I think shouldn't be played and that Nigerian Super Eagles are apparently going to play. We'll talk about that on here today. I want to know what you think about that friendly game, and then we'll talk about the criticisms that Eric Chill has been receiving from Nigerian fans and others alike. And then we'll talk about a rumored transfer for VIctor Osimhen from Galatasaray, maybe to a Premier League club, and talk about the Four Nation Invitational tournament. So we're going to talk about a lot of things today. So we'll just go straight into it. Now, firstly, we're talking about the disappointment after the draw to Zimbabwe. Of course, different points, different people, have been talking about, the game, talking about the loss, and giving their own reasons for the loss. So for me, nothing new. We all know why that game was lost, and you've had people like George Abbey, former Super Eagles defender, right back, I think, Mutu Adepoju, giving their 2 cents about it. George Abbey had said, the players and the coach should bear the brunt of the blame, And for me, I think he's right, because it's a mixture of the two. Because I've been seeing people, over social media say, we keep talking about inviting players to, the national team, and the fact that they are good at their club doesn't mean, they will be good for the Super Eagles, especially, looking at the Zimbabwe game and saying, oh yeah, this player, he's good. You talked about him coming to the Nigerian Super Eagles, but you see what he's doing, what he did, or rather wasn't able to do in the game. So he shouldn't have been invited. So it's just a question of the players. Now, why some players have a lot to answer for, the likes of your Wilfred Ndidi had a lot to answer for in that game. Just Ekong leading up to that goal, he should have done better with it. So had a lot to answer. Even Stanley Wabali, that has been excellent for the most part since he started playing for the Nigerian Super Eagles. He had a lot to answer for, because he could have done better, with the shot from the Zimbabwean player. And then as well, you talk about Ademola Lookman, who didn't really look, his best, if we're going to be honest here, in the two games, the Rwandan game and the Zimbabwean game. So you have a lot to blame certain players for. You had a lot to blame someone like Iwobi that missed a chance, in the game versus Zimbabwe, that would have made it an early lead in the game and be opened up the game a bit more. But then again, you cannot escape Eric Chill. You cannot criticize. You cannot just say you're not going to criticize him. You should. He's open to criticism, because for me, it's fine. I keep saying it. It's fine. He wants to play attacking football. It's fine. You want to attack, beautiful. But you should be adaptable, and that's one thing he wasn't in that game. That's one thing he didn't do in that game. And as well, the blame doesn't only rest with Eric Chill, because it's easy. You see the players, you see the coaches, you want to blame them. It's fine. You want to criticize them, it's fine. But also the NFF as well, because I think they had some influence with respect to the list of players that were, invited. And you shouldn't, because you're not the one. You're not the people that will set up the team, that will select the players that who play the game, and definitely you won't be playing on the pitch. So you should allow the coach to pick the players he wants and allow him, execute his game plan the way he wants to. And if he fails, then you can sack him based on that, because the NFF, the Nigerian Football Federation, the members of the board, the members of the executive committee, whatever you want to call them, their jobs are not based on Nigeria qualifying for a World Cup or qualifying for an AFCON or winning the AFCON or winning the World Cup. It is the coach. So for me, allow the coach do his job, and they have some blame, as well to bear. The coach as well, he has some blame to bear. So for me, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on that one. Eric Chill, 2 games in, and he's being criticized. He has to be criticized, but we also have to open our eyes and be sensible as well, because there are 3 games that were that we should have got wins in, and he wasn't there. 4 games, we drew 3, lost 1 before Eric Chill came into play. And the way you see Eric Chill wants to play, to my mind, I think Nigeria probably would have won against Lesotho, and maybe won against Benin Republic, but at least definitely would not have lost that game the way he set his team up to play. Because I think there's more structure to how he set up his team when you compare it to Finis George. That's clear, night and day. You could see the clear structure, and it was a lot more attacking. His style of play is a lot more attacking than what Jose Peseiro did at the Nations Cup, which I'm not really against, and what he did as well in those 2 World Cup qualifying games where he was, where he was at the helm, where he was head coach of the Nigerian Super Eagles. So Eric Chill, while he deserves a lot of the blame, the players as well deserve a lot of the blame as well, because tactically, I think he was a bit too naive, especially going into the last minutes of the game. You're 10 minutes left on the clock. At that point, you shouldn't be looking to go 3 goals, 4 goals. You should be looking to tactically tighten up the game, set traps for the opposing team, and then look to methodically attack them, as opposed to going gung-ho like you're desperate for a goal. And that's why ultimately, Nigeria lost that game. So I want to know your thoughts and opinions in the chats, in the comments about that game. And then there's this friendly game that Nigeria is to play. It's against a particular country, and the country right now, for the most part, have been suspended. So I don't know how they've managed to agree a friendly match for the 31st of May. I don't know how they've come up with that sort of arrangement. So the NFF, please stay out of this, because already, you're in a tight spot. What you do not want is something to happen and then FIFA says, okay, we are taking points off you, or we are banning you. No, you're already in a tough spot already to qualify, with all things being equal. All things being equal, you're already in a tight spot. You need to have a perfect run, an absolutely perfect run. That is, you win every game, not even a draw, not even a very good performance that ends in a draw. You must win every game to stand a chance of qualifying for the World Cup. So you don't need any additional issue to worry about. You do not need any additional issue to worry about. Like your thoughts and opinions on that one. And then we'll move swiftly to something funny, that I've been seeing on social media, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, where Lesotho, the FA Football Association of Lesotho, are reportedly, pulling out or choosing not to withdrawing their complaint. That's what I was searching for. Withdrawing their complaint to FIFA. But I'm sorry, Lesotho. I'm sorry. In this case, this is not a civil case where you can charge someone and then you can sue someone and then you say, I'm not suing him anymore, and everything ends there. No, this is clear breach of FIFA rules. So South Africa, those points would have to be subtracted from them. That's it. And I find this strange. I don't think it's completely accurate, because if those points are withdrawn from South Africa and 3 goals are awarded against them, I think the main beneficiaries of that would be Lesotho. If you think of it, because they lost to South Africa while South Africa had an ineligible player on the pitch in Mokoena that had 2 yellow cards and ordinarily should not have played that game. So they would normally, in this situation, should be awarded 3 points and awarded 3 goals, because they are the side that were offended, and that would take them up to 9 spots. That will give them 9 points and take them up to the second spot, just a point behind South Africa, keeping them in a prime position, and then pushing Nigeria all the way to 5th in 7 points, with 3 points behind, South Africa. So I don't understand why they would want to withdraw, They are complaining when it puts them in a prime position, to qualify for the World Cup. So I find it difficult to believe. But if they're trying to do that, well, it's too late. It's too late, my people. It's too late, my brothers in Lesotho. It's too late. It's just not going to happen because it's a FIFA rule that has been breached. You cannot say we will join our complaint because you've offended everybody. That's what it is. The South African Football Association have offended everybody in terms of play because they allow that ineligible player to play in those games. So it's an offense to all. It's not an offense just to Lesotho. It's to everyone. So they have to lose those 3 points if FIFA wants to be fair. So for me, I think that's 3 points less for South Africa, and then the advantage really goes to Lesotho. Although Nigeria has the opportunity to now close up the gap because it's now at a 3 points gap, and then if you just win your game against Rwanda at home, then immediately you get 10 points, and the pressure is on South Africa. So for me, I find it difficult from all angles, from any perspective you look at it. I find it difficult, I find it difficult to believe, or even impossible to believe, that Lesotho, being put in such a prime position, will withdraw their complaint, because they want to save South Africa. What do they owe South Africa? I don't think they owe South Africa anything, in my opinion. And even if they actually, intend to withdraw their complaint, no, they can't. It doesn't matter because it's a breach of FIFA rules. Like I said, the South African Football Association, they've offended everybody. They offended everyone in the group. They offended FIFA. So this, because it's a FIFA rule that they've broken. So that's it. They have to lose those 3 points. That's it. And if they don't lose those 3 points, for me, it's a matter that can go to the Court of Arbitration for Sports. I think the the other teams in that group, they have the right to do that because it's a clear breach of FIFA rules. So I want to know what your thoughts and opinions on this, reported or alleged withdrawal, by Lesotho. I don't think it is possible. I don't think it is true that they want to do it. But if they indeed want to do it, what are your thoughts and opinions, on that one? And then I'll talk about VIctor Osimhen. People have had different reactions to VIctor Osimhen's post-match reaction. They've had, people have come up with different takes, different opinions. Some have gone on to say, oh, that's why they don't like VIctor Osimhen, the way he behaves, that means he's arrogant and he thinks it's all about him. For me, I'm like, calm down. Why would you say that? Show me someone that enjoys losing, and I'll show you a loser. Someone who's nice and happy when they lose. And VIctor Osimhen, we all know he wears his heart on his sleeve, and that's why we love him so much as Nigerian football fans. And that's why you have Galatasaray. They love him so much because he wears his heart on his sleeve. That's why you see him. He presses so much. He runs all game for the full 90 plus minutes. He's always putting in, the effort in addition to his obvious quality. And then that comes to bear. He scored the goal that should have given Nigeria the victory. The game was over. He was really visibly upset. So I'm sure it's sort of that sort of thing where he was walking away. That's the video that made everyone sort of get on, or a lot of people get on the back of VIctor Osimhen. He was walking away. Victor Boniface was coming towards him to say something to him. So he was pushing me away. Let me be, let me be, let me be. So for me, I think Victor Osimhen was upset. He just wanted to be left alone. And that's it. And then thereafter, you could see, him taking the same flight with Victor Boniface, back in chummy terms with his teammates. So people should stop this sort of slander against someone like Victor Osimhen. We know what he brings to the team. So I don't know what people are talking about. I don't know why people like to complain about Victor Osimhen every opportunity they get. I don't get it. I don't understand why that should be the case, in my opinion. I don't understand it. What are your thoughts and opinions on it? Do you think Victor Osimhen is arrogant, or should some element of being arrogant because, he walked away from the team huddle? Or you understand why he walked away. For me, I quite see why he walked away, why he was going away, why he wasn't happy. So anyone that wants to say anything bad about VIctor Osimhen, for me, you will not hear that on this channel because I know what he brings. I know, his strength of character, and I know his obvious quality, on the pitch. So for me, VIctor Osimhen, he had every right to do what he did. No problem, no question from my own end. So what are your thoughts and opinions on what I've talked about so far? The friendly match that is rumored that Nigeria will be looking to play. What do you think about that match? Because it's a country that's currently, engaged in some armed altercation with another country, and most sporting associations or most sporting governing bodies have suspended this country. So, what do you think about Nigeria? So, I don't know how they managed to agree, so reported friendly with this country, on the 31st of May. What do you think about it? For me, I've said this: they shouldn't be playing in such a friendly match because that would just make it so easy. FIFA would just ban Nigeria, so easy, and then all this talk of FIFA deducting points from South Africa would have no meaning, would have no importance anymore. All this talk of trying to win every game to qualify for the World Cup would have no meaning anymore because, of course, Nigeria would be out of World Cup qualification contention entirely. So, what are your thoughts and opinion on that one? And then, what are your thoughts and opinion on the criticisms of Eric Chill and the Nigerian players after this Zimbabwe game? What are your thoughts and opinion on that one? And then we have some more things to talk about as well. So, the Four Nation tournament, I know I've talked about it before. Four Nation tournament in England, Nigeria is expected to participate in a Four Nation tournament in England in May 2025. The other participating teams are Ghana, Trinidad, Tobago, and Jamaica. Then this is strange. Then if they're saying this tournament is seen as important preparation for upcoming major competitions, including 2026 World Cup qualifiers, the match against Ghana will reignite. So this seems strange to me because if you're calling Trinidad and Tobago, and then you have England as well, so it's no longer a Four Nation tournament, then it's five. So this is a bit odd to me. So like I said, I'll keep giving you updates on this proposed Four Nations tournament, and when something eventually concrete comes up, I would also let you know. So for me, I think it is interesting, it is intriguing, but it would have a better taste. It would have had a better taste if Nigeria had actually won against Zimbabwe. So, you play that game, you're fired up going into a game that if you win that game, you at least get to be top of Group C, at least for a few moments, for a few seconds, or for a couple of days before, for a few hours at least until South Africa get to play. So for me, this is an interesting tournament to be involved in, better than the other friendly I talked about. But for me, World Cup qualification is the main thing, should be what, should be at the heart of everything that Nigerian Super Eagles are trying to do, at this minute. And then I want to talk about some transfer news, transfer rumors, transfer reports, or how you want to call it. Of course, we all know Chelsea are interested in signing number 9, and there's the talk of signing or possibly considering a VIctor Osimhen, and they say it's on their list. But you also have a Liam Delap, you also have Benjamin Sesko, and some other strikers. So for me, the fact that you're calling a Sesko or you're calling the Liam Delap in the same sentence with VIctor Osimhen, for me, is just silly talk, man. It's just PR at its highest. Because where you use, and I think it's unfair to players like Liam Delap or Sesko, because those players are still young, they're still in their development phase. And where they are now, VIctor Osimhen was there, let's say 5-6 years ago, or even more. So they're still developing. So to even try to compare VIctor Osimhen to these players doesn't make any sense to me from a Chelsea perspective. There's no need to sign another young striker that you groom and you try to build up, train, try to make a better, and hope that he becomes world class in 2 to 3, 4 years. VIctor Osimhen right now is world class, and that's what you need. You need someone who's a world class leader, a world class striker, a has serious pace, that can worry defenders, pin defenders, that has all the qualities you need, and can be a leader on the pitch. VIctor Osimhen doesn't need the captain's armband to be a leader. So you can be a leader on the pitch and even off the pitch as well. So I don't see, how you see VIctor Osimhen and then you consider, Liam Delap and Sesko. They are decent young strikers coming up, but for me, VIctor Osimhen right now is head and shoulders above them. Like I said, for me, it's Harry Kane, it's Erling Haaland, and do you even call Lewandowski, or maybe say Lewandowski and then VIctor Osimhen? He's in the top 5 strikers in the world right now. That's the truth. He is in the top 5, strikers in the world. I'm speaking on about top 5 strikers. There's a video on this channel where I talk about the top 5 strikers in Nigeria's history. And Rashidi Kini, of course, he is the first one with 37 goals rather in 62 games. VIctor Osimhen is right behind him with 25 goals in 40 games. And I think VIctor Osimhen will at some point surpass the record of Rashidi Kini. So that video, I think, is one you should check out after you've done watching this live stream. So for me, that transfer news, if Chelsea want to sign VIctor Osimhen, they should go and sign him as opposed to trying to compare him with young kids that haven't achieved much in their careers. So we now move to another topic. So talking about FIFA to support Nigeria. For me, I have mixed feelings about this. So I'll read what's here. So FIFA is funding a significant upgrade for the Nigeria Football Federation Technical Center in Abuja. The $48 project will include new pitches, both natural and synthetic, and a modern hostel for the national team. Now, for me, that's all well and good, but I've always said this: if you want your football to grow, if you want your football to develop, then waiting for FIFA won't get you anywhere, won't do you any good. While it's nice that, okay, FIFA could come in, build all this, build this center to give us touched up pitches, hostels for players. But for me, that's not how you develop your football. You have to look inwards to develop your football. Seriously, that's how it happens in other countries as well. But for me, if this does indeed bring, development, infrastructural development to Nigerian football, then for me, I'm all in for it. I'm all in for it anyways. And it's a bit strange to me when you say hostel. How many days, do you have Nigerian Super Eagles players staying in Nigeria? Or at least staying in Nigeria where they have to stay in a hostel. I'm just thinking about what would be the use of that, of those hostels. And then the pitches, fine, yeah, good pitches, so training ground and all that. That's nice, but for me, it's nice, but I still have my misgivings about it. That was the actual use of it. But like I said, if it brings development, that's fine. And then one thing I've always said is this: you must be the own person. You must be the country that develops yourself. Look at countries that are actually achieving things in football. They are looking inwards and doing things themselves. When you look at your Morocco's, when you look at your Senegals, you look at countries in Europe, they are countries that have looked inwards and are developing themselves. Then that's the only way you can actually go forward in football. Now, there is this sort of news that came up I saw yesterday about FRCN signing an MOU with the Nigerian Football Federation, with the Nigerian Premier Football League, to boost the popularity of the league, to boost the visibility of the league. For me, that only sounds good on black and white. It only reads good, in print. But in reality, I don't think it's all that. I don't think it measures up to what you want to achieve. Because if you want to improve the popularity of the league, you should be doing it on platforms that have, a high number of users, like platforms like Netflix's, like your Prime videos. People in Nigeria watch Netflix. People outside the country watch Netflix, and they already have huge subscriber numbers, and that means they have large, they have potential. There's a potential of a high number of viewers. So for me, this FRCN deal or rather memorandum of understanding they've signed, it doesn't really make sense to me because I don't think that's what you need to boost the popularity of the league. For me, to boost the popularity of the league, it is something that is cultural. First off, you have to improve the appeal of the league. Then, secondly, you have to get the league on platforms that people watch all over the world. So for me, it's better you have a YouTube channel. The MPF will have a YouTube channel where you have a couple of live games every weekend where people can watch on there, and then you go into agreements with people like a Netflix or Prime Video, or you can even have yours. You could even have your own, streaming service. And what people don't get is if the Nigerian Football Federation, if the Nigerian Football Federation actually, you know, convinces people that this league is your league, the amount of support that they would get would be mind blowing. Mind blowing. Another thing you have to do, to affect the visibility of your league is your programming, because you have to look at the people you're competing with. You're competing with the Premier League for timeshare. You're competing with La Liga for timeshare. You're competing with Serie A for timeshare. Now, as domestic or as professional domestic league football brands, of course, the Premier League is way ahead of the MPFL. The La Liga is way ahead of the MPFL. So you have to look, or rather consider having alternate viewing times, so that people's attention will be solely focused or mainly focused on your league. I think that's something that should be considered. That's something that really, really should be considered. Have to check that timing bit, and also have your own streaming platform, in my opinion, or get into deals with people like Netflix, Prime Video that have that, visibility. Or you can even, if you have your own streaming service, you can even get into contracts and deals with top celebrities top Nigerian celebrities and influencers that have the ability to create that publicity for your league, create that notoriety for your league. Because after all, you have Nollywood producers that have movies that get 24 million views, 100 million views in less than 5 days. You have people, individual skit makers and things that have instant viewership that could have up to 1 million, 2 million views in less than 2 days. So if you partner with those sort of people, that would all help to increase and improve the visibility, of the MPFL, as opposed to FRCN. If I'm not mistaken, that has to do with radio. So this is 2025. Radio does not improve the visibility of your league. Radio is more or less complementary, or complementary. That's how I see it, at least in my opinion. So let me know your thoughts and opinion on this. Now, there's something I want to talk about. Nigeria, anytime the Nigerian Super Eagles lose, they always blame people. You always have people blaming players, blaming fans, criticizing players, criticizing the coach. And fair play. Like for me, I have my criticism, laid at the feet of Eric Chill and some of the players like Wilfred Ndidi, players like just Ekong for the Zimbabwe goal, Eric Chill for playing Olayina out of position. I have that. And then you also have the people that like to call for the recall or invite of players that were not there, or players that used to play for the country but haven't played for the country in a bit, and then they see them as the messiah that can come and make change in the team. Now, that's fair. But there are two names that people have been talking about, that people have been raving about. Now, the first one Leon Balogun, for me, I don't see the point. They say he's good, he has experience. When if we take our minds back, Leon Balogun and Truth Ekong, they got their debuts for the Nigerian Super Eagles in and around the same time. Now, while one established himself, that is William Truth Ekong, the other one, Leon Balogun, was never consistent and was always injured. So for me, while people might say he's doing well for Rangers, for me, I don't really look at it to say he should play for Nigerian Super Eagles. I don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. I wonder what your thoughts and opinions are on that. Do you think Leon Balogun is the answer in the defense that Nigeria needs? For me, I think instead of Leon Balogun, Igor Ogbu, he was invited, but he didn't play even a minute. I think he should be given game time come the next set of international games. He should be given game time because I think he has that ruggedness, he has that aggression, to play in the centre back position to bring that difference that you want to see. So for me, I think I'll pick him ahead of Leon Balogun. I don't know what you think about that. Do you think Leon Balogun can really be, the savior in Nigeria's defense? And then the other name has been Cyriel Dessers. Now, Cyriel Dessers, we all know he has been on fine goal scoring form. Outside of VIctor Osimhen, he's been the highest goal scorer, the highest goal scoring Nigerian player in Europe. That's fine. Some people say he should be recalled. The next time he should be invited, and he should actually make the substantive list. For me, there are two ways I look at this. The first bit is I've said this before. He doesn't have that physical ability, that athletic ability. That's one part of it. But you can't also deny his form. He's been on fine goal scoring form. So for me, I think maybe the only way he comes in and plays is if you use VIctor Osimhen in this way, where the ball comes in, he flicks it over, he flicks it off to your Cyriel Dessers, and then you have to take a risk, and that risk is you're not going to expect Cyriel Dessers to press because that's just it. He cannot press. He's someone that likes to make the runs on the last shoulder of the defender and then finish that way. But in terms of pressing, making life difficult for defenders, in terms of the pressure he puts on them, I don't think he's someone that's capable of doing that. So if you're calling for Cyriel Dessers, know this: he's not going to press. He will not press. So just know. So if you invite him and he comes into playing this foreign nation tournament, or he comes into play in the game versus Zimbabwe, I don't see him pressing, don't be shocked because that is not the way he plays. That is not his bag, as the kids say. So for me, Cyriel Dessers, I have mixed feelings about it, but Leon Balogun, I don't think he's good enough to come into that defense. I still prefer to second to him, and I feel there are other options that can be looked at. You have the Buhari and Leostrom. You've got Igor Ogbu as well, and then you've got Alexander Makandeli. You've got Odogu. You've got David Odogu. Those are people I think that should be looked at because you need defenders that can actually match the physicality, in African football, in this walk of friendly game. This walk of qualifying fixtures that would be, I think, in September, if I'm not mistaken. So you want, as it June or September, I'll get it sorted out. But you want someone that will be able to match the physical nature of the African qualifiers. So for me, Leon Balogun, Cyriel Dessers maybe can be, considered. I'm talking about strikers that can and should be considered. Victor Olatunji is someone that should be looked at as well. George Lenny Kenna is someone that should be looked at as well. And Rafi Durushimi is someone I think that should be looked at as well. Now, talking about players that should be looked at for the Nigerian Super Eagles. Now, we've heard that Ethan Nwaneri, the NFF, the National Sports Commission in Nigeria are looking to convince him to play for the Nigerian Super Eagles. Then now we've had a tie, Sam Sodje, Sam Sodje, the guy with the headband, or is it durag, what they call it? that used to play for Nigeria. I think they said he will be advising the group that have the responsibility to speak with Ethan Nwaneri. Now, for me, there are two ways to look at it. First off, it's good, as a former Nigerian international. I think he was born in the UK as well, so you can say he sort of understands what it means to be born in the UK, grow up in the UK, and then have that, and then switch your footballing allegiance to play for Nigeria. Probably he'll be able to speak to Ethan Nwaneri that way. But for me, I said, while that is all good, or while that is all nice and dandy, Sam Sodje, is he really the person? Because Sam Sodje, has a nephew. I think it's Ty Sodje. He played for Man City EDS, the Allied Development Squad. And when he was asked about Ty Sodje playing for Nigeria, he said Ty Sodje, can make his own choice. So when someone that's in your own household, you cannot speak to play for Nigeria. Not like I'm saying Ty Sodje is even good enough to play for Nigeria in this minute, but you are unable rather, or willing, or a bit of both, to speak to someone who is in your own family, to play for Nigeria, someone you have access to play for Nigeria. But now you want to advise, the group that will be speaking to Ethan Nwaneri. What advice are you going to give them? Well, that's my 2 cents about it. But if indeed he will, if indeed he then becomes the magic charm that Nigeria needs, to convince Ethan Nwaneri, then okay, so be it. But I don't think he is, the right person. And I don't even think that you even need any ex-international to even speak to Ethan Nwaneri for you. For me, it's just show your intention. Be clear about it. Be genuine with your intention. Be genuine with your intention. Because, for instance, now, because Ethan Nwaneri, I think he should be considering his international future, because he has his Arsenal teammate in Lewis Kelly that's already playing for the England national team, and they're about the same age. So you're probably looking at and say, okay, do you think I'm not good enough for you? So if the Nigerian Football Federation are pure in their their intent, that clear about it, they're genuine, they say, okay, boom, Ethan Nwaneri play for us. This is it. Make it clear. Then he will play. 100%. I'm saying this. Guarantee. If they are serious about it, he will play. But if it's all just publicity stunt where you want to put it on the media to make people feel like you're serious about it, but you're not serious about getting him to play for you, then what are we talking about? Then it's not going to work. But if you're serious, if you have that intention, then it will work. And for me, like I said in the previous video yesterday, I said this 4-nation tournament could present, or rather presents an opportunity for the NFF, for the National Sports Commission, to get Ethan Nwaneri to play for Nigeria, because there and then you could offer him games to play with the Super Eagles. There and then you can offer him games to play with the Super Eagles. So if you're just joining, we're talking about a couple of topics, and I want to know your thoughts and opinions about them. There's a reported link for VIctor Osimhen to go to Chelsea. What your thoughts and opinion about it? It's no concrete links yet, but we have this kind of report saying he's on the list for Chelsea. Do you think, from a Nigerian perspective, that would be a good move for VIctor Osimhen? Because after all, he almost joined them last season, but they didn't quite see his value. In my opinion, they were trying to negotiate with him like they were pricing crayfish, as we say in Nigeria. You go to the market, and then you get to the store and you see a lady selling crayfish, and you start bargaining, you start pricing. As we say, pricing, you start saying, okay, can I buy this for, how much is this? 2,000. Can I buy for 100 naira? So that's what I think Chelsea were doing at that time, and it just didn't work for them. So for you, do you think Should he go back to that, you know, should he go back to that negotiation table with Chelsea? Is it something that would work? For me as a Chelsea fan, I would want him to come to Chelsea, but if they're going to disrespect him like they did it last time, then there's no point. Then there's no point. Because we all know a player of VIctor Osimhen's level earning 200 plus K a week is normal. For you and me, is mind-blowing money. For you and I, £250,000 a week is mind-blowing. But have a look at what Harry Kane earns. Have a look at what Erling Haaland earns. We're hearing that Tyler Diblin, who's a young kid for Southampton, could be going for north of £100 million. And what has he done? He hasn't scored up to 10 goals. And he hasn't even made up to 7 assists this season. But he's being valued that high. So VIctor Osimhen, if Chelsea are going to come around and mock about and not offer you what you're worth, then there's no need. But if they come with a concrete offer, you're welcome to the blue side of London. But that side, and then we're talking about Leon Balogun being recalled to play, for the Nigerian Super Eagles. Is that something you'd want to see? Do you think he has really developed, over the years to a point where he can come in and replace Trus Ekong, because that's what everyone is looking at? Because Trus Ekong made one mistake in like how many matches? Now he's the one that wants to replace. So do you think Leon Balogun is the one that should come in and actually replace replace Trus Ekong to the point where Nigerians don't miss Trus Ekong? So what are your thoughts on that bit? And Cyriel Dessers as well. Like he's been on fine goal scoring form. Is this someone you think should be invited into the national team, Nigerian national team, going into the coming World Cup qualifying fixtures? And if he is indeed someone that you think should be re-invited, recalled, who would you drop from the list of strikers? You have Boniface, you have Tula Rokodare, you've got VIctor Osimhen, of course, and then you've got Sadiq Umar. So which of those would you drop? For me, I think Sadiq Umar is the one that I'll be dropping off that list. So who would you be dropping if you're looking to get Cyriel Dessers in? Who would you drop off that striking list? And then what do you make of this whole thing about Sam Sodje, acting as an advisor to the team that will be looking to speak to Ethan Nwaneri? Do you think is something that should be wise to do? Or do you think the NFF should just be brave about things, be honest about things, be genuine about things, and speak to Ethan Nwaneri? Or you feel using an ex-international would make this work? And then thinking about it, an ex-international may not be what you need. What you need is someone that's playing currently, someone that these young players look up to and say, okay, yeah, this person has walked the path that I'm about to walk on. Like your Lukman, your Ademola Lukman. Lukman has walked the path that Ethan Nwaneri is about to embark on. Because Lukman, born in the UK, played most of his football in the UK, and switched over to his national team allegiance to play for Nigeria, and has been successful since he's done that. His career has been on an upward trajectory. He's gone to Atalanta, played very well, won the Europa League trophy, won African Player of the Year award, and then he's been to an AFCON final as well. So Ethan Nwaneri is about to walk on that path that Ademola Lookman has walked, and I think he is the perfect person to speak to Ethan Nwaneri, because he can say, yes, I did that. If you're talking about an ex-international, for me, it should be a Nwankwo Kanu, because Nwankwo Kanu for me has far more clout, far more respect, far more cachet than Sam Sodje, and he is an Arsenal legend. So you can see there's so many things that Nwankwo Kanu can bring to the table if he's speaking to someone like Ethan Nwaneri. So what are your thoughts and opinions on in respect of that? And then as well, what do you think about this FIFA thing, or FIFA funding a project in Nigeria for the NFF? What's that project called again? See, FIFA support technical center. FIFA is funding a significant upgrade of the Nigerian Football Federation Technical Center in Abuja. So, what are your thoughts on that bit? What I said earlier on is this, or was this, to make your football thrive, to make your football economy thrive, to make your football ecosystem thrive. It's good if FIFA comes in and become a supplementary source of income or source of promotion. But the main thing is for you as a country, you as a people, to develop your own football by yourself. Look at what Saudi are doing. Why haven't you heard, FIFA, they're going to fund this in Saudi? No. Look at what Saudi are doing. And that's the only way you can actually compete. That's the only way you can actually compete. And then again, is when you promote and boost your domestic professional league, that's how you begin to compete. When you increase this visibility, you improve its commercial value, you improve playing conditions for the players, you improve how they earn. That's how your football ecosystem, your football climate gets notoriety. And also we talked about the Nigerian Premier Football League signing an MOU with FRCN, federal radio. It has to do with radio. So what do you think about that? And they say it's to boost the visibility of the league. For me, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. What is the reach of FRCN? What is the reach of FRCN? I'll just have a quick search or something now, and then we'll talk about it. What is Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria? I know that's what we were talking about. So how will the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria help boost the visibility, radio boosting visibility of the league? Doesn't make sense to me. I say it again. Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. How would they help boost visibility of the Nigerian Premier Football League? Because right now, I don't get it. I don't understand how that happens. I don't understand how the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria will boost visibility for the Nigerian Premier Football League. For me, I think they're approaching this all wrong, in my humble opinion. I think it's been approached all wrong. And it's been approached all wrong, in my opinion. Because when you talk of visibility, like I said earlier in the video, you should be talking about probably streaming terrestrial TV or a streaming network that has viewership, like your Netflix, like your Prime TV, Disney Plus and all that. Or if you want to build your own platform, you can use people, Nigerian maybe influencers or Nigerian content creators that have a large number of subscribers, that have subscribers that are willing to watch any and everything, not only any and everything they create, but any and everything they signpost them to. For me, I feel that will work a lot better. It will work a lot better if you get into some sort of agreement with top level influencers and let them help create that publicity. Because I tell you, if you can get certain people on board, if you can get Nigerians to believe that the Nigerian Premier Football League is their own thing, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. I guarantee you, it can be not only the most watched league in Africa, but I could say the top 5 most watched league in the world. And there are other particular things that you have to get in place, in my opinion. So for me, FRCN MOU with Nigeria, with the NPFL doesn't really stir me up. Doesn't really make me feel like the NPFL that are ready to boost their brand. Because FRCN in this modern age, a radio corporation, that's where you're going to. For me, radio right now should be a supplement, something that complements. If you want to boost your visibility, you should actually be looking for ways to get people, to watch, get people to actually watch, the football league. So I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on that bit. I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on that bit. So, and then the next thing we're going to talk about, yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about. So I've talked that we talked about on the channel. We talked about, people reacting to VIctor Osimhen's post-match reaction. Some people are saying, "No, he's arrogant. That's why I don't want him to sign for this team. That's why I don't want him to sign for that team." What are your thoughts and opinion on that? Do you see it as a bad thing? Do you see it as VIctor Osimhen being arrogant or anything of the sort? What are your thoughts on that one? For me, like I said, I don't see that as an issue, because show me a good loser. Show me someone who's happy when he loses, and I'll show you someone that can never win. If you're happy when you lose, if you're friendly when you lose, then you can never win. You can never win. Now, and we all know VIctor Osimhen wears his heart on his sleeve. You see the way he plays, he puts in his energy, he goes full tilt. And then when you see your teammates, not putting in their all, you will feel bad. If you're engaged in a project, and you come to work early every day, 8 a.m., you're at work, you're at your desk, you're putting in the shift. But you see your colleagues coming in 10 a.m., coming in 11, and leaving at 2, while you stay all day and you work till 5, you work till 6. You will feel bad if that project doesn't turn out right. That's the truth about the matter. So for me, let's leave VIctor Osimhen alone. We know what he brings to the team. Each time he plays, you see him, he runs himself into the ground. He gives his 100% each and every time he plays. So I don't understand why he should be the one that, Nigerians always look to criticize. And then when you criticize an EOB, you criticize an Ndidi, some will say, "Oh, don't blame individuals. It's a team game." Yes, it's a team game, but people within that team have the responsibilities. And then also we've talked about Eric Chale. He's being criticized a lot by fans. He's being criticized by ex-internationals. What do you think about him? So for me, like I said, I'm not saying he should be sacked, but I'm saying he should become more adaptable. He should improve how he reads the game, because that is one reason Nigeria drew against Zimbabwe, because he didn't read the game rightly. He should improve how he reads the game. He's wanting to want to attack. He's wanting to want to score the goals in the world, which is good. I have no issue with that one. But you have to read the game. You have to look at, do we have 5 minutes on the clock? We've got one goal. Let's tidy things up. Let's tighten things up. Let's make it difficult for the opposition to break us down. So those are the sort of criticisms I have for him. And I also have, some element of blame to pass around the players. How Ademola Lookman, still a world-class player in my opinion, still should be invited to play for Nigerian Super Eagles whenever a game comes up. But he was very inconsistent in those 2 games. In the game in Rwanda, a game versus Zimbabwe, he was too inconsistent, in my opinion. He was too inconsistent. And then as well, Ndidi, Wilfred Ndidi, he has for me, he has some blame to carry as well, because he didn't marshal out that midfield as, in the manner I would have wanted him to. Or at least he didn't meet up the expectations we all had, because everyone was of the opinion, I think, that Ndidi is the experienced guy in the midfield. He played with Leicester and got them promotion. He's a Premier League level midfielder. He should be able to marshal out that midfield. He is the guy that has the experience, but no, he didn't. He wasn't able to marshal out and control that midfield. That's why I keep calling for Ebenezer Kintimiro, because I think that guy is uniquely special, uniquely gifted, and perfectly suited for that lone 6 role. So indeed, he has some blame to bear as well. So the blame goes around. The only player that that I say is blameless, I can say is blameless, is VIctor Osimhen, because we saw it. We saw the game with our eyes. We saw how he played. So, what are thoughts on opinions on these players being criticized, on Eric Chil being criticized, on this Ethan Nwaneri business? What are your thoughts and opinions on that bit? So for me, I feel everyone has to be criticized and they have to get better. And as well, the NFF, now they are hiding behind the shadows, they're hiding behind the scenes. No one is talking about them. Everyone is talking about Eric Chil. Everyone's talking about the players. But no one is talking about the NFF officials. They keep tampering with this list, and we see strange names that if you follow football, when you see some names on that list, you just know they're not meant to be there. You see the names on the list, you just instantly know that no, this player is not meant to be on this list because he doesn't play at all for his club. So why should he be here? Now, speaking about players playing for their clubs, there's a series that I'll be having on this channel. I've already done one today. I'm sure you possibly must have watched it. So I'll be featuring or having a video or a series where I'll be talking about prime academy and prospects at different clubs. So the first one is already on the channel, and that was when I talked about Bayer Leverkusen. I talked about 3 players of Nigerian with Nigerian heritage, that play for the 8th grade sides in at Bayer Leverkusen. So Francis Onyeka, of course, is one of them. He's already trained and played. He's already trained with the first team at Bayer Leverkusen. I also talked about Ken Izeko. Ken Izeko is already trained. I think he's got a couple of minutes as well for Bayer Leverkusen. And I talked about Emmanuel Owen. Emmanuel Owen is a very pacey, electrifying winger. That's someone that people should at least have in their mind's eyes. And of course, I'm not saying they're nowhere near ready for the Super Eagles. At least when you talk about Emmanuel Owen and when you talk about Ken Izeko, but Francis Onyeka, I think he's gradually getting to that point. Why I highlight Francis Onyeka is this, because that 10 role is a place that Nigeria needs someone. Ethan Nwaneri is the number 1 target. Francis Onyeka should be on that list that you're looking at, to fill that 10 role, but more Ethan Nwaneri than him. So that will be a series that will be coming on. You can watch that. You can go on and watch that video after this live stream is over, and drop in the comments and let me know if you like if you like and enjoy this sort of content, that type of videos where I'll be talking about top Nigerian talents across academies in Europe. I'll be doing one for Wolfsburg as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. I'll be doing one on Chelsea as well, so keep your eyes peeled on that. Do one for Arsenal, to keep your eyes peeled on the channel for that one. And there is a player I'll mention that I'll talk about, and that's the player where you have Ghanaians fighting over him, Nigerians fighting over him, and let's see, who wins out for him, who wins his allegiance in the end. So that's my thoughts and opinion on that one. And then I also want to say this: I want to be doing something about the Nigerian Premier Football League. I want to know your thoughts and opinions on that one. Is something you'd like to see? And if you're watching and you're watching the Nigerian Premier Football League, is something that you're really into, send me a DM so you can come on this channel and have a segment to yourself where you talk about the NPFL, talk about your favorite clubs in the NPFL. Also, if you know where someone can buy the jerseys of these various football clubs, let me also know. So we've talked about so many things on here today. Want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on all of them. And then I've said, if you're to drop any player in this team, rather play against Rwanda, play against Zimbabwe, who would you be looking to drop? Who would you be looking to replace them with? So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments. So I'll just come and check something. What they say here? Okay. Now these are some comments that people have made. So I'll just read this one out. There's something that they say. Ufra did escort a Zimbabwean player that scored the goal. And then someone said, I let this comment, someone said, actually, you are right, but he gives up too many goals. He needs to be able to save the tough goals as well. That makes an allied goalkeeper. And that's speaking about Stanley Wabali. So that's that. But before we go, we have to talk about Stanley Wabali. There are talks about Stanley Wabali eventually leaving the South African League, the South African Premier League. So what are your thoughts and opinions about that? For me, I think it's well overdue. I think he should be looking to leave. Of course, due credit to the South African Premier Football League. It is one of the best in Africa. I think right after you have the leagues in Northern Africa, South African Football League is the next best thing in Africa. So, but I think it's come to the point where he should leave. He should leave, test himself, at a higher level, improve himself there. So that's something that I think he should do. I know he can't be comfortable at playing with cheaper in South Africa. Well, that's fine, but I think he should move on to a tougher league. But I don't want him to make the kind of move that Tanimu made, which is going to League Two. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. If you're in a league where you're comfortable, you're earning good money, you're playing in a decent competition, I think the South African Premier League is, you don't just go to any sort of league, because you go there and it's difficult for you to come out. Going to League Two, no. Going to League One, no. For me, I think if he's to live in the South African League, probably you go to Turkey and play in a top club, maybe Galatasaray, or you go to Germany, play for a club in the Bundesliga, and you're actually a number one. So for me, that's what he should be looking at, as opposed to moving to leagues like the Tanzanian league, where I see a lot of Nigerians go to. Why? And that's a shame. With due respect to Tanzania, it's a shame for Nigerian players to lead the Nigerian league and go to Tanzania. That's just a shame, and it should be shame on the MPFL organizer. It should be a shame on the league management company. It should be a shame on the Nigerian Football Federation, because the Nigerian Premier Football League right now should be the best in Africa. It should be. It should be. You have all it takes. The fact that it's not become the absolute best in Africa tells you all you need to know. It tells you all you need to know about how football is run, which is just not good enough. It's just not good enough, in my opinion. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting as well, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. And of course, tomorrow we'll have another live stream, another Talk Football Live, where we'll talk about a lot of other footballing topics that would emerge. Even as we speak, we know there are lots more football news that's being developed at this minute. So we'll talk about all of them tomorrow as well. So join me here as well tomorrow, and we'll have a nice discussion. Also, don't forget to watch Top 5. Top 5 is a video I did today on the channel, where I highlighted the top 5 Nigerian strikers of all time, the top 5 greatest Nigerian strikers of all time. When you talk about statistics, the goals they've scored, in the number of games they've scored them, I think that's a video that you don't want to miss. You should go on right after this stream ends. You go on and you watch that video. So right now, I've come to the end of this video. I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel and you've clicked the notification bell. Please share this video to people you feel will like this sort of content, and I'll see you on yet another video. Stay well.